I checked my phone on a Tuesday afternoon at work and saw a voicemail from Dad. His voice was cold, formal, unlike anything I had heard before. Christmas is canceled. You are not welcome. Expect a call from my lawyer. The message ended abruptly. I stared at my phone in shock. For 6 years, I had co-signed on my parents' mortgage, helped them financially every month, sacrificed my own dreams. Now this. I did not call back, did not argue, just texted one word, understood. Then I made a single phone call that would change everything. My hands were shaking as I sat at my desk, staring at the text I had just sent. One word. Understood. It felt like the period at the end of a very long, very painful sentence. I kept rereading Dad's voicemail transcription on my screen, searching for some hint of emotion, some crack in that formal wall he had built. There was nothing. The phone call I needed to make was not to my parents. It was to Angela, my mortgage broker. I had met her 6 years ago when all this started, and we had stayed in touch over the years. She was professional, sharp, and most importantly, she understood the complicated financial web I had gotten myself tangled in. She answered on the second ring. "Angela," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to ask you something. Can I remove myself as a co-signer from my parents' mortgage?" There was a pause. She knew my situation. We had talked about it before, usually when I was stressed and needed advice. "Ricky," she said carefully, "yes, you can request removal, but both parties and the lender must agree. However, if you are not currently living in the property and can prove financial hardship from the obligation, there is an expedited process." My heart started pounding. How expedited? Given that the other parties have equity in the home and stable income, the bank will likely approve if they can qualify on their own. Timeline is usually 24 to 72 hours for emergency removal. "Do you want me to look into this for you?" "Yes," I said, "please." While she pulled up information on her computer, my mind drifted back to how this all started. 6 years ago, I was 32 years old, freshly promoted to senior project manager at a tech consulting firm. I had worked my way up from an entry-level position, put in the long hours, earned the respect of my team. My credit score was 792. I was proud of that number. It represented responsibility, discipline, everything I had worked for. That was when my parents came to me with their problem. They were about to lose their dream home. Mom had needed surgery 2 years before that, and even with insurance, the medical bills had destroyed their credit. They had been making minimum payments on everything, juggling debt, trying to keep their heads above water. The bank had rejected their mortgage application 3 times. I remember sitting in their living room, Dad's head in his hands, Mom crying softly. "We will lose everything," Dad had said. 40 years of marriage, and we will have nowhere to go. Your sister said she cannot help. She is still establishing her career. My sister Stephanie was making 6 figures as a pharmaceutical sales rep. But apparently her career was too fragile to help our parents. So it fell to me. It always fell to me. Just until we rebuild our credit, Dad had promised. 2 years, maximum. You will not have to pay a dime. We just need your name, your score, to get approved. The mortgage was $430,000. The monthly payment was $3,200. I signed the papers, believing every word they said. "Ricky?" Angela's voice pulled me back to the present. "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I am looking at the mortgage payment history right now. According to this, there has not been a single late payment in 6 years. The account shows regular, on-time payments of $3,200 every month." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. That is impossible. I have been covering payments constantly. The payments are coming from an account in your father's name. Every single one. On time. Not a single missed payment. But that cannot be right. I gave them money almost every month. First year, maybe $500 here and there when they said they were short. Second year, it got worse. Dad had a business opportunity that fell through, and I covered 4 straight months of payments. Years 3 through 6, I was paying anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 per month, just to keep things current. Or at least, that is what I thought I was doing. Ricky, Angela said gently, I am looking at the payment record right now. Your parents have been making every payment themselves. In full, on time. The room seemed to tilt. How much have I given them total? I heard her fingers on a keyboard. Based on what you have told me in our previous conversations, you estimated around $80,000 over 6 years. $80,000. My savings account, completely depleted. My dream of buying my own place, gone. My girlfriend Emily, who left me 8 months ago because I could never afford to do anything nice, always stressed about money, always helping my parents. You care more about your parents than us, she had said on her way out the door. All of it for nothing. They had been lying to me for 6 years. Angela, I said, my voice hollow, start the removal process. Emergency hardship. Today, are you sure? This will upset your parents significantly. They will be notified within 24 hours. I am sure. I will have the paperwork ready by end of business today. You can come by my office to sign. After I hung up, I sat very still at my desk. Around me, my coworkers were typing, talking, living their normal Tuesday afternoon lives. I felt like I was watching them through thick glass. Everything seemed distant, muffled. For 6 years, I had been their safety net, their personal ATM, and they had been perfectly capable of taking care of themselves the entire time. Every emergency had been a lie. Every crisis had been manufactured. They had taken $80,000 from me, my own flesh and blood, while making every mortgage payment on time with their own money. I thought about Dad's voicemail again. Christmas is canceled. Expect a call from my lawyer. What had I done to deserve that? What crime had I committed? I had given them everything, sacrificed everything, and this was how they repaid me. With threats. Something cold and clear settled over me in that moment. It was not anger. Exactly. It was more like clarity. Like waking up from a very long dream and seeing reality for the first time. I had been playing by their rules for 6 years, always trying to be the good son, the reliable one, the one who fixed everything. But their rules were designed to keep me trapped. Designed to keep me giving and giving while they took and took. Well, I was done playing by their rules. It was time to play by mine. I pulled out my phone and texted Angela, "How soon can we meet?" Her response came 30 seconds later. "I can have everything ready in 2 hours. 5 o'clock work for you?" "Perfect," I replied. Then I turned my phone to silent, put it face down on my desk, and went back to work. Whatever storm was about to hit, whatever calls and texts and voicemails were piling up, they could wait. For the first time in 6 years, my family was going to have to wait for me. I woke up Wednesday morning to 17 missed calls. I had left my phone on silent overnight, and apparently my family had been busy. The missed calls were a mix: 9 from Dad, 6 from Mom, 2 from Stephanie. There were voicemails, too. I played them while making coffee, listening to the progression from anger to panic. Dad's first message, from late Tuesday night. "Call me immediately. This is serious." His voice was tight, controlled. The voice he used when he was trying not to yell. Mom's first message. "Ricky, honey, there has been a misunderstanding. Please call. We need to talk about this." She sounded worried but still composed. By the third voicemail, Dad's control was slipping. "What did you do?" The bank called. "They said you are trying to remove yourself from the mortgage. You cannot do this. Call me now." Stephanie's message was pure exasperation. "What did you do?" "Mom is hysterical. Dad is talking about suing you. I do not understand what is happening. But you need to call them. This is insane." The last voicemail, from Mom at 2 in the morning. "Ricky, please. I do not understand why you are doing this. We are family. Whatever is wrong, we can fix it. Just call us. Please." I deleted all the messages and got ready for work. Let them panic. Let them wonder. They had spent 6 years manipulating me, lying to me, stealing from me. They could spend a few days not knowing what I was planning. At work, I kept my phone on silent in my desk drawer. Around 11:30, I walked 3 blocks to Angela's office. She had the paperwork waiting in a neat folder. "This is everything," she said, sliding it across her desk. "You just need to sign here, here, and here. Once I submit this to the bank, they will notify your parents within 24 hours. After that, your parents have 72 hours to either qualify for the mortgage on their own or refinance." "Can they qualify?" I asked. Angela pulled up a document on her computer. "Your father makes $92,000 per year. Your mother makes $48,000. Combined income is $140,000. The remaining mortgage balance is $395,000. For a conventional mortgage, they need a debt-to-income ratio below 43%. With their income, the mortgage payment alone would be about 27% of their gross monthly income. They should qualify easily. So there is no reason they need me on this mortgage." "None whatsoever," Angela confirmed. "They are financially stable. The only reason you were needed 6 years ago was their bad credit from the medical bills. But that has aged off their credit reports by now. They should be fine." "Then there is no problem," I said, signing the papers. Angela watched me carefully. "Ricky," she said, "I have to ask, are you prepared for the fallout from this? Your family is going to be very angry." I looked up at her. "They have been lying to me for 6 years, taking money they did not need. I just found out yesterday that they have made every single mortgage payment on time while I have been giving them thousands of dollars. I am done being angry. I am done being sad. I am just done." She nodded slowly. "Okay, I will submit this today. The bank will process it as an emergency hardship removal. You should hear back within 48 hours. I left her office feeling lighter than I had in years. The sun was bright, the air was crisp, and for the first time in 6 years, I felt like I could breathe. By Wednesday evening, the missed calls had climbed to 31. I glanced at my phone periodically, but did not answer or listen to the new voicemails. There were texts, too. "Stephanie, Dad's lawyer wants to sue you for breach of contract. You need to call. Mom, you are destroying this family. Do you even care?" I did not respond to any of them. Let them spiral. Let them feel what it is like to be ignored, to have your calls go unanswered, to feel helpless. Thursday morning, I was at my desk by 7:30. Around 8:15, the phone on my desk rang. It was security downstairs. "Sir, there are 3 people in the lobby claiming to be your family. They do not have visitor clearance. They are asking to see you." "I will be right down," I said. I took the elevator down slowly, mentally preparing myself. When the doors opened, I saw them immediately. Dad was pacing near the security desk, his face red. Mom was sitting in one of the lobby chairs, tissue in hand. Stephanie was standing with her arms crossed, looking annoyed. I walked toward them calmly. The security guard, a guy named Marcus who I saw every morning, gave me a questioning look. I nodded slightly to let him know it was okay. "You think you can just abandon your responsibilities?" Dad said loudly as soon as he saw me. Several people in the lobby turned to look. "Lower your voice," I said quietly. "This is my workplace." "How could you do this to us?" Mom said, standing up. Her eyes were red and puffy. Stephanie stepped forward. "You are being incredibly selfish. Do you have any idea what you are putting them through?" I looked at each of them in turn, then focused on Dad. "I saw the payment history. You never needed my help." Dad's face went from red to purple. "That is not. You do not understand. You have made every payment on time for 6 years," I continued. "While I gave you $80,000 for fake emergencies." Mom made a small sound, something between a gasp and a sob. "We were building a safety net. For all of us. A safety net with my money?" Stephanie jumped in. "You do not understand the full picture. They were investing that money." I stopped cold. "Investing?" The lobby went very quiet. Dad and Mom exchanged a look, a quick panicked glance that told me everything. Stephanie realized she had said something wrong. Her face went pale. "What do you mean investing?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Dad put his hand up. "Now is not the time or place." "No," I said. "Tell me, what investments?" Gerald stammered. "We can discuss this privately." Marcus, the security guard, had moved closer, sensing the tension rising. "Sir, is everything all right?" I looked at Marcus. Please escort them out. They are not welcome here. Ricky, please, Mom tried. Marcus and another guard moved toward my family. Sir, ma'am, I need you to leave the premises. As they were being walked toward the door, Stephanie turned and shouted over her shoulder. You are going to regret this. That house is worth way more than $430,000 now. The doors closed behind them. The lobby returned to normal. People went back to their phones and their conversations. But I stood there, frozen, processing what Stephanie had just said. The house was worth more than $430,000, significantly more based on the real estate market over the past 6 years. Property values in their neighborhood had skyrocketed, which meant my parents had significant equity they had built while I had been funding their lives. They had not just been lying about needing help with the mortgage. They had been using my $80,000 to invest, to build wealth, while keeping their own income free. They had been getting richer while I had been getting poorer, and I had enabled all of it, like the world's biggest fool. I rode the elevator back up to my floor in a daze. When I got back to my desk, I pulled up a real estate website and searched for homes in my parents' neighborhood. The results made my stomach turn. Houses comparable to theirs were selling for between $650,000 and $700,000. They had bought for $430,000 6 years ago. That meant they had somewhere between $220,000 and $270,000 in equity. $250,000 in equity. Built on my back. While I had nothing, I put my head in my hands and tried very hard not to scream. Thursday afternoon, around 3 o'clock, my desk phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I did not recognize. Normally I would let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Ricky Thompson? A woman's voice, professional and crisp. Yes, this is Diane Patterson from Patterson and Associates. I represent Gerald and Linda Thompson. I understand you are their son. My jaw clenched. I have nothing to say to you. Mr. Thompson, your parents are prepared to file a lawsuit for breach of implied contract and financial elder abuse. I almost laughed. Elder abuse? They have been stealing from me for 6 years. They have documentation of financial dependence on your contributions, she continued smoothly. You have created a situation where they have come to rely on your monthly payments. Suddenly, withdrawing that support constitutes abandonment and could be construed as financial abuse of vulnerable adults. They can afford the mortgage on their own. The bank will confirm it. Their income is more than sufficient. There was a pause. I could hear papers rustling on her end. Mr. Thompson, there are complicating factors you may not be aware of. Such as? I am not at liberty to discuss the details over the phone. But I strongly advise you to reconsider your decision to remove yourself from the mortgage. The consequences could be severe for everyone involved. Something in her tone made my skin prickle. It was not just the usual lawyer bluster. There was something else, something she was hinting at but not saying outright. Tell my parents to have the bank contact me through proper channels, I said. Otherwise, I have nothing to discuss. Mr. Thompson, please. I hung up. The rest of the afternoon crawled by. I could not focus on work. My mind kept turning over what Diane had said. Complicating factors. Consequences for everyone involved. What did that mean? By the time I got home to my apartment that evening, I was exhausted. I climbed the stairs to my second-floor unit and stopped dead. Stephanie was sitting on the steps outside my door. She looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was not wearing makeup. Her eyes were red. Can we talk? She asked. Really talk? Every instinct told me to say no, to go inside and lock the door. But something about the way she looked, the defeat in her posture, made me hesitate. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door and let her in. My apartment was small, a one-bedroom place I had been renting for 4 years. I could have afforded to buy something by now, if I had not been hemorrhaging money to our parents. Stephanie had never been here before. She looked around with something like surprise, maybe realizing for the first time how little I had. I did not offer her anything to drink. I just sat down on my couch and waited. She sat in the chair across from me, pulling her knees up. The mortgage is not the only thing you are on. My blood went cold. What? Remember when Dad started his consulting business 4 years ago? I remembered. Dad had been excited about it. talking about being his own boss, finally, building something. He had asked me to come to a family dinner to celebrate. That was when you co-signed on a business line of credit, Stephanie said. $75,000. No, I co-signed on the mortgage, nothing else. She reached into her purse and pulled out folded papers. These are copies. I took them from Dad's office. I grabbed them, my hands shaking. The documents showed a business line of credit application. $75,000. And there at the bottom was my signature. I never signed this, I said. I never. You did, Stephanie interrupted. At that family dinner 4 years ago. Remember? Dad had papers, he said, were routine mortgage refinance documents. He said the bank needed updated signatures. The memory hit me like a physical blow. Yes. I had signed papers that night. Dad had them laid out at the table. Said it was just a formality, the bank updating their records. I had signed without reading them carefully because I trusted him. I trusted my own father. That was not refinance paperwork, Stephanie said quietly. That was the business credit line application. I felt sick. How much is owed on it? Stephanie looked at the floor. All of it. $75,000. And it is 90 days past due. 90 days. That meant collections. That meant my credit score was being destroyed right now. That meant they could garnish my wages. My entire financial life was about to implode. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because it is about to get worse, she said. I stared at her. How could it possibly get worse? She took a deep breath. Dad took out the business line of credit to invest in a real estate flip. He partnered with his friend, Craig Donovan. They bought a property for $160,000, planning to flip it for $280,000. Okay, but Craig disappeared with the renovation money. The property is sitting half-finished. Dad cannot sell it, cannot finish it, and the carrying costs are killing him. I put my head in my hands. This was a nightmare. This could not be real. Ricky, Stephanie said, there is more. More? Craig Donovan is not just Dad's business partner. She paused. He is Emily's uncle. The world stopped. Emily, my Emily. The woman I had loved for 3 years. Who had left me 8 months ago because I was always stressed about money, always helping my family, never able to give her the life she wanted. What? My voice came out as a whisper. Dad introduced them. Stephanie continued. Emily told Craig you were financially comfortable. Craig targeted Dad as someone with access to credit. The whole thing was a con. Emily was in on it. No, she was with you to keep tabs on your financial situation. Once they had what they needed through Dad, she left you. I could not breathe. The room was spinning. 3 years. 3 years of my life with someone who was using me. Who saw me as nothing more than a mark, a target, a way to get information. End of 7. Stephanie pulled out her phone and showed me Facebook photos. Emily and Craig at a restaurant, California plates, visible in the background. The photo was dated 3 weeks ago. The caption read, "Desert sunset with my favorite partner in crime." Craig had commented, "Could not do it without you, kiddo." Emily's response, "Another successful venture done. They have done this before," Stephanie said. "They are professional con artists." Did Mom and Dad know? I asked. My voice sounded strange, distant. Did they know Emily was using me? Stephanie would not meet my eyes. I do not know. Maybe not at first. When did they find out? About 6 months ago. Craig stopped returning Dad's calls. Emily had already left you. Dad started digging and realized they had been scammed. That is when he found out about Emily's connection to Craig. They knew 6 months ago. 6 months. And they never told me. They let me think Emily had left me because I was not good enough, because I could not give her what she wanted. They let me blame myself while they knew the whole time that she was a con artist who had been using me. I could not speak, could not think. Everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. My girlfriend had been fake. My parents had been stealing from me. I was on the hook for debts I did not even know existed. My credit was being destroyed, and everyone around me had known pieces of the truth but said nothing. Stephanie stood up. I am sorry. I should have told you sooner. I thought maybe Dad could fix it. I thought maybe Craig would come back or the property would sell or something. I did not want to hurt you." "Get out," I said. "Ricky, get out." She left quickly. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, the sound of her car starting in the parking lot. Then silence. I sat alone in my apartment as darkness fell outside. I did not turn on the lights. I just sat there in the growing shadows, trying to understand how my life had fallen apart so completely. My phone buzzed. Text message. Then another. Then another. I finally looked. All from family. All panicking. But one text stopped me cold. It was from Diane Patterson, the lawyer. It must have gotten my cell number from my parents. "Mr. Thompson," the message read, "the bank has rejected your parents' mortgage application. They cannot qualify without your income. They are facing foreclosure. Please call immediately." And there it was. The trap had snapped shut. My parents could not qualify because the $75,000 business line of credit in collections counted against their debt-to-income ratio. Without me on the mortgage, they would lose the house. And because my name was on that defaulting credit line, my credit would be destroyed regardless. If I did nothing, my parents lost everything and my credit was ruined anyway. If I stayed on the mortgage, I was trapped forever, continuing to fund their lifestyle while they bled me dry. Either way, I lost. That was when I knew I needed help. Real help. Not from family. Not from friends. From someone who could actually protect me. I needed a lawyer of my own. Friday afternoon, I sat in the office of Brandon Walsh, an attorney a coworker had recommended. Brandon was about 45, gray at the temples, with the kind of steady, unflappable demeanor that made you feel like maybe things could actually be okay. I had brought everything. Every document, every bank statement, every text message. I laid it all out on his desk and watched as he went through it methodically, his expression growing darker with each page. After about 20 minutes of silence, he sat back in his chair. "Ricky, the signature on this business credit line application is forged." "What?" He held up the document, pointing at my signature. "Look at it closely. It is too perfect. When people sign their name naturally, there are small variations, tiny inconsistencies in pressure and flow. This signature looks like it was traced. It is identical to your signature on the original mortgage documents from 6 years ago. Not similar. Identical." I leaned forward, looking at where he was pointing. He was right. The signature looked exactly like mine, but now that he mentioned it, something was off. It was too careful, too precise. "Your father forged your signature," Brandon said flatly. "That is fraud. Serious fraud. But I did sign something that night at dinner. Probably a blank piece of paper or a different document entirely. Then he traced your signature onto this application. We could prove it with forensic analysis if needed. So I'm not actually responsible for this debt? Not legally, no. But," he held up a hand, "here's the problem. Right now, your name is on it. The collections agency does not know it is fraud. Your credit is being damaged every day this remains unresolved. What can I do?" Brandon leaned forward. "You can file a police report. Fraud charges. Your father would face criminal prosecution. Possibly prison time." The room felt very cold suddenly. "Prison. My father. In prison. If you file charges," Brandon continued, "the credit line obligation would be removed from your record entirely. Your credit would be cleared. But you would be prosecuting your own father. Or we negotiate. We get everything in writing. We protect you going forward." "But," he emphasized, "that only works if we have serious leverage. Right now, we have proof of fraud. That is leverage." Before I could respond, Brandon's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and raised his eyebrows. "It is Diane Patterson. She is calling me directly," he answered and put it on speaker. "Diane, this is Brandon Walsh. Ricky Thompson is here with me." Diane's voice came through, clipped and professional. "We need to talk settlement. My clients are desperate." "Your clients committed forgery," Brandon said calmly. We are considering criminal charges. There was a long pause. I was not aware of that. Ricky never signed that business credit line application. The signature was traced. We can prove it. Another pause. Longer this time. I heard papers rustling on her end. Brandon, I am looking at these documents now more carefully. This is not the only forgery. My stomach dropped. What? There are refinance documents from 2 years ago. The bank has them on file. Ricky's signature appears on a cash-out refinance that pulled $60,000 in equity from the house. I never signed any refinance, I said. I believe you, Diane said, and she sounded sincere. The signature on these documents has the same quality. Too perfect. Traced. Not natural. Brandon's jaw was tight. How much fraud are we talking about total? The business credit line is $75,000. The cash-out refinance is $60,000. Total fraudulent debt, attributed to your client, $135,000. I felt like I was going to be sick. $135,000, plus the $80,000 I had willingly given them. My parents had stolen or extracted over $215,000 from me. Brandon looked at me, his expression grim. Then he turned his attention back to the phone. Diane, why are you telling us this? You represent the parents. That. Because I have an ethical obligation, she said. And because, she paused, there is something else you need to know. Go on. Your client's parents came to me with a strategy. They wanted me to file a lawsuit claiming Ricky owes them for years of childcare, housing during college, financial support during his upbringing. They wanted to argue that his co-signing was repayment for parental investment, and that he is now abandoning his obligations. They wanted to tie him up in court, drain his resources, force him back to the table. You have got to be kidding me, I said. I told them I would not do it, Diane continued. It is frivolous and abusive. But they have already contacted another firm, Murphy and Chen, downtown. They are known for taking, shall we say, questionable cases if the retainer is high enough. They are going to sue me? I asked, my voice cracking. After everything they have done? They are desperate, Diane said. The foreclosure is real. They have 30 days. If they lose that house, they lose over $250,000 in equity. Brandon cut in. Why are you telling us all this, Diane? Because this is wrong, she said simply. I have been practicing law for 23 years. I have seen a lot of unpleasant family disputes. But this crosses a line. These people forged their son's signature multiple times, stole over $135,000 in his name, and now they want to sue him for abandoning them. I will not be part of that. Are you withdrawing as their counsel? Brandon asked. As of this morning, yes. I sent them a formal withdrawal letter. That is why they went to Murphy and Chen. I wanted to give you a heads up. Todd Murphy will take this case. He will drag your client through hell if he thinks there is money in it. And Gerald and Linda are convincing. They play the victim well. After Diane hung up, I sat in stunned silence. Brandon was making notes, his pen moving quickly across a legal pad. Finally, I found my voice. What do I do? We fight back, Brandon said. Hard. We file criminal charges for forgery and fraud. We sue to recover the $80,000 you gave them under false pretenses. We go after Craig Donovan and Emily. We make it clear that if they come after you, we will burn everything down. That puts my father in prison. Yes, Brandon said, meeting my eyes. It does. I thought about Dad. About family dinners and baseball games when I was a kid. About him teaching me to drive. Helping me move into my first apartment. About believing him when he said he needed help. About trusting him. Then I thought about 6 years of lies. About $80,000 stolen. About my signature forged. About Emily, the woman I loved, who had been a plant all along. About them knowing for 6 months and saying nothing. About them threatening to sue me now. What is the alternative? I asked. Brandon set down his pen. The alternative is you walk away from all of it. You let them have the house, Let them deal with the credit line however they can. You file a fraud claim with the credit bureaus to get your name off the debts. You move on with your life and never speak to them again. And if they sue me anyway, then we defend you. But, he cautioned, defense costs money too. Legal fees add up fast. Even if you win, you lose thousands in attorney costs. So no matter what, they have already won. Brandon was quiet for a moment. No, he said finally. They have not won. They are panicking. They are desperate. That means we have power here if we use it correctly. We just need to be smart about it. I left his office as the sun was setting over the city. Friday evening, traffic was heavy. People heading home for the weekend. Looking forward to 2 days of rest. I sat in my car in the parking garage and let myself feel everything I had been holding back. Fear. Betrayal. Grief. Not just for the money, though that was catastrophic, but for the family I thought I had. For the parents I thought I knew. For the life I thought I was building. All of it was gone. All of it had been an illusion. My phone buzzed. Text from Mom. Please, Ricky. Just talk to us. We can fix this. I turned off my phone and drove home in silence. Saturday morning, I woke up at 4 in the morning and could not get back to sleep. My mind was racing, turning over everything Stephanie had told me about Emily and Craig. Something about it bothered me. So I got up, made coffee, and started digging. I found Craig Donovan's social media first. His Facebook profile was public. I scrolled back through years of posts. Vacation photos. Pictures. With Emily. Comments about business ventures. Then, buried 3 years back, I found it. A news article someone had shared on his page. The headline, California couple arrested for real estate fraud scheme. I clicked through. The article was from Nevada, dated 3 years ago. 2 people had been arrested for running a real estate scam. They had convinced 4 families to invest in property flips, then disappeared with the renovation money. Total damages, $600,000. The names in the article, Craig Brenner and Emily Crenshaw. I pulled up the booking photos. It was them. Craig Donovan was Craig Brenner. Emily Walker was Emily Crenshaw. They had served 18 months in prison and been released 2 years ago. They had done this before, the exact same scam, and then they had done it to my family. But I kept digging. I found more articles. Emily Crenshaw had a record across 3 states, multiple aliases, multiple fraud charges. Craig Brenner had an even longer history. They were career criminals. Then I found something that made my heart race. A warrant notice from Arizona, dated 8 months ago. Emily Crenshaw had violated parole by leaving the state without permission. There was an active warrant for her arrest. She was wanted, right now. Today, I grabbed my phone and called Brandon Walsh. It went to voicemail. I left a message. Brandon, it is Ricky. Emily and Craig are career criminals. They have records. Emily has a warrant out for her arrest in Arizona. Call me back. Then I started making a list. Every document I had about the business deal. Every text message from my parents about it. Every piece of evidence I could find. If Emily and Craig were criminals, if there was a warrant, that meant law enforcement might be interested. And if law enforcement was interested, maybe there was a way to recover some of the money. Maybe there was a way to make this right. Brandon called me back at 9. I have been looking into what you found, he said. This is bigger than we thought. Craig and Emily are part of a pattern. The FBI has been tracking them. The FBI? Interstate fraud falls under federal jurisdiction. I called a contact at the local field office. They are very interested in talking to you. By noon, I was sitting in a conference room at the FBI field office downtown. Special Agent Marcus Fielding was across from me, taking notes as I walked through everything. The business deal, the forged signatures, Emily's relationship with me, Craig's partnership with my dad. This matches a pattern we have been tracking, Agent Fielding said. Craig Brenner, he uses Donovan as an alias, has victims in 6 states. Emily Crenshaw is his niece and partner. They target families with good credit and access to capital. Can you catch them? I asked. We know they are in Nevada based on recent sightings. With your testimony and documentation, we can potentially freeze their assets and pursue restitution. Restitution? If we recover any money or assets, victims can file claims. You would not get everything back, but potentially some percentage. What do you need from me? Everything, he said. Every document, every text, every email, and testimony. Full cooperation. I hesitated. That includes testimony about my father's involvement. Yes, Agent Fielding said, his expression neutral. It does. I thought about that. About my father potentially facing questions from the FBI. About having to testify about his role in all this. About the consequences. Then I thought about $135,000 in forged debt. About 6 years of lies. About Christmas being canceled and threats from lawyers. What do I have to do? I asked. By Sunday afternoon, I had provided the FBI with everything. Copies of all documents. Screenshots of every text and email. A detailed written statement. Agent Fielding said they would be in touch as the investigation progressed. Brandon called me that evening. Your parents want to meet. Tomorrow, they are bringing Todd Murphy from Murphy & Chen. I think we should do it. Why? Because they are going to make threats. And I want to hear exactly what they plan to do. It will help us strategize. Plus, I have some things I want to say to them. Where? Neutral location. I suggested that coffee shop on 10th Street. Public, but quiet. 2 o'clock tomorrow. I will be there. Ricky, Brandon said, before tomorrow, I need to know. How far are you willing to go with this? What do you mean? Criminal charges against your father. Are you willing to actually file them if it comes to that? I was quiet for a long time. Finally, I said, yes. If I have to, yes. Okay, Brandon said. Then we go in strong tomorrow. We lay out exactly what we know and what we can prove. We make them understand that they have no power here. That if they push us, we will push back 10 times harder. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment and thought about the next day. About facing my parents across a table. About looking my father in the eye, while lawyers discussed fraud and forgery. About how completely my family had fallen apart. Part of me wanted to just walk away, to let them have the house, let them figure out their own mess, and start over somewhere new. Change my number, move to a different city, pretend none of this ever happened. But I could not, because if I walked away now, they would come after me anyway. Todd Murphy would file his lawsuit. Collections agencies would garnish my wages. My credit would be destroyed for 7 years. I would pay for their crimes for the rest of my life. No, the only way out was through. Monday morning, I got up early and went for a run. I needed to clear my head, needed to feel strong. I ran 5 miles, pushing myself hard, until my lungs burned and my legs ached. Then I went home, showered, put on my best suit. If I was going to war with my family, I was going to look like someone who could not be pushed around. Brandon met me at the coffee shop at 1:45. We got there early, claiming a table in the back corner. It was quiet. Only a few other people scattered around, absorbed in their laptops and phones. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door opened. Dad walked in first, looking 10 years older than the last time I had seen him. Mom was next, moving slowly, holding a tissue. Stephanie was with them too, though I had not expected her. And bringing up the rear was a man in an expensive suit, carrying a leather briefcase. Todd Murphy. They spotted us and walked over. There were only 4 chairs at our table. Stephanie had to grab one from a nearby table. We all sat down, a tense circle, like some terrible family reunion. Todd Murphy spoke first. I am Todd Murphy, representing Gerald and Linda Thompson. I understand you are Brandon Walsh, representing Ricky. Brandon nodded but said nothing. My clients are prepared to file suit tomorrow morning, Todd continued, unless we can reach an agreement today. Before you file anything, Brandon said calmly, you should know what we have. He slid a folder across the table. Todd opened it. His confident expression faltered as he read, then faltered more. By the 3rd page, his face had gone pale. What is this? Todd asked. Evidence of forgery, Brandon said. Multiple instances. Business credit line, cash out refinance. All with forged signatures. We have forensic analysis ready to go. We also have documentation of fraud, conversion of funds, and conspiracy. Todd looked at my parents. You did not tell me about this. Dad opened his mouth, closed it. Mom just cried quietly. Additionally, Brandon continued, we have been in contact with the FBI. Craig Brenner and Emily Crenshaw are under investigation for interstate fraud. Your clients are witnesses in that investigation, potentially co-conspirators, depending on what the FBI determines about their knowledge and involvement. This is ridiculous, Todd said, but his voice lacked conviction. My clients are the victims here. They were scammed by Craig Donovan. Then they should be happy to cooperate with the FBI, Brandon said. But filing a frivolous lawsuit against their son, who they defrauded, that looks like obstruction. It looks like they are trying to intimidate a witness. The table went very quiet. I looked at my father. He would not meet my eyes. I looked at my mother. She was staring at her hands. I looked at Stephanie. She looked miserable, caught in the middle of something she could not fix. You stole from me, I said quietly. For 6 years, you lied to me. You forged my signature. You let me think I was helping you when you were just using me. Son, Dad started. But I held up my hand. Do not call me that. You lost the right to call me that when you stole my signature and my money. We were going to pay you back, Mom said through tears. Once the property sold. With stolen money? I asked. Money from a fraud scheme? How does that make it okay? Todd Murphy cleared his throat. Mr. Thompson, Ricky, I think emotions are running high here. Perhaps we should take a break and reconvene when everyone is calmer. No, I said. We are finishing this now. I looked at Brandon. He gave me a small nod. Here is what is going to happen, I said, looking directly at my parents. You are going to sign a confession of the forgery. Notarized. Brandon will hold it in escrow. Dad shook his head. Absolutely not. Then we file criminal charges today, Brandon said. And the FBI will want to interview you tomorrow. Your choice. The color drained from Dad's face. You are also going to sign a promissory note, I continued. $80,000. To be repaid over 10 years. The money I gave you willingly, believing I was helping you. Ricky, we do not have that kind of money, Mom said. You had it when you took it from me, I said. You will find a way to pay it back. Stephanie was shaking her head. This is insane. You cannot do this to them. I ignored her. You are also going to quitclaim deed the house to me. Today, Dad stood up. Absolutely not. That is our home. Sit down, Brandon said, his voice like steel. Dad's Saturday? Listen carefully, I said. You quitclaim the house to me. I assume the mortgage officially. I also assume the business credit line, since my name is on it anyway. But here is the deal. You can continue living in the house for the rest of your lives. Rent-free. Hope flickered across Mom's face. But, I continued, if you ever contact lawyers about me again, if you ever sue me, if you ever cause problems, you are evicted immediately. And the confession goes to police. That is extortion, Todd Murphy said. No, Brandon said. That is a generous settlement offer considering our alternative is federal prosecution. I leaned forward. I will refinance everything in my name. I will sell the property within 2 years. I keep all proceeds. You get to live there until you die, or until you violate the terms. Your choice. And Stephanie? My sister asked, her voice small. You knew, I said, turning to her. You knew for months, and said nothing. You are cut out entirely. Ricky. Please, Stephanie said. One more thing, I said, looking back at my parents. You cooperate fully with the FBI. You tell them everything about Craig and Emily. You help them build their case. Why would we do that? Dad asked. Because if you do not, Brandon said, we will tell the FBI you were in on it from the beginning, that you knowingly introduced your son to a con artist to gain access to his financials, that you were part of the conspiracy. That is a lie, Dad said, but his voice shook. Can you prove it? Brandon asked. Silence. Todd Murphy closed his briefcase. I need to consult with my clients privately. You have 5 minutes, Brandon said. They walked outside. Through the window, I watched them arguing. Dad gesturing angrily. Mom crying. Stephanie standing apart from them, arms wrapped around herself. Todd Murphy talking, probably explaining how thoroughly they were trapped. They came back in. Dad looked defeated. Mom looked broken. Stephanie would not look at me. We agree, Dad said quietly. Say it clearly, Brandon said. For the record. We agree to all terms, Dad said. We will sign the confession. The promissory note. The quitclaim deed. We will cooperate with the FBI. And the lawsuit? Brandon asked. Todd Murphy sighed. There will be no lawsuit. Brandon pulled out prepared documents. He had come ready for this outcome. We spent the next hour signing papers. A notary Brandon had called, came, and witnessed everything. By 4 o'clock, it was done. I owned my parents' house. They lived there at my mercy. They owed me $80,000, and I had evidence of their crimes locked away, insurance against future attacks. We stood up to leave. No one knew what to say. Finally, Mom reached out like she might hug me. I stepped back. Do not, I said. She dropped her arms. I walked out of the coffee shop without looking back. 3 months had passed since that day at the coffee shop. 3 months of paperwork, refinancing, and slowly rebuilding my life piece by piece. The house was officially mine now. I had gone through the full refinancing process, consolidating the mortgage and the business credit line into one loan. My credit score had taken a hit from the process, dropping from 792 to 648. But it was recovering. Every month, as I made the payments on time, it climbed a little higher. I was at 673 now. The monthly payment was steep, $4,100. Between the mortgage and the consolidated business debt, it was eating up a significant chunk of my income. But it was manageable. I had cut back on everything else. No eating out, no entertainment, no unnecessary expenses. Every dollar went toward that payment and toward rebuilding my emergency fund. My parents still lived in the house. True to the agreement, they paid no rent. I had not spoken to them since that day. They sent the promissory note payments on time each month, $800 automatically deducted from their account. In 10 years, I would have my $80,000 back, or I would have it if they lived that long and kept paying. Stephanie had tried to reach out twice. Both times, I had deleted her messages without reading them. She had chosen her side. She had known what they were doing and said nothing until it served her purpose. As far as I was concerned, I no longer had a sister. On a Wednesday morning in late February, my phone rang. Agent Fielding from the FBI. Ricky, he said, I wanted to give you an update. We arrested Craig Brenner and Emily Crenshaw in Nevada yesterday. My heart started pounding. You got them? We did. They had just finished scamming another family when we moved in. 2 people, recently retired, lost their savings of $130,000. We caught Craig and Emily before they could leave the state. Are they in custody? Yes. Emily violated parole, so she is going back to prison for 5 years. Craig is facing federal fraud charges across 6 states. He is looking at 10 to 15 years minimum. What about the money? We have frozen their assets. They had about $87,000 in various accounts, plus a property in California worth approximately $210,000, though it has a mortgage. We are working on restitution for all victims. How much will I get back? Hard to say. There are 11 families total, about $1.9 million in damages. With the assets we can recover, victims might see 30 to 40 cents on the dollar. It will take time to work through the courts. 30 to 40 cents on the dollar. That meant I might eventually recover somewhere between $40,000 and $54,000 of the $135,000 stolen. It was not everything, not even close, but it was something. There is one more thing, Agent Fielding said. Emily is cooperating. She is providing testimony about other victims, other scams. She mentioned your father specifically. My stomach tightened. What did she say? She claims your father knew she was gathering financial information on you. She says he was a willing participant in exchange for a cut of the business profits. Is that true? I do not know, but I need to interview your father. Soon. The investigation is ongoing. After I hung up, I sat at my desk, staring at nothing. Dad had known. Emily had confirmed it. He had knowingly introduced me to a con artist. He had used me as bait. Everything Stephanie had said about them, not knowing at first, about them being victims too, was a lie. But I could not think about that now. I had work to do. That afternoon, I got a call from a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Ricky? A woman's voice, uncertain. Yes? This is Angela, your mortgage broker. I wanted to give you some good news for once. I could use some good news. I was looking at property values in your parents' neighborhood. The house you now own is currently appraised at $670,000. I sat up straight. $670,000? The market has been strong. That neighborhood has seen significant appreciation. Your remaining mortgage balance is about $389,000 after your payments these past 3 months. That means you have equity of roughly $281,000. I did some quick math in my head. If I sold the house for $670,000, paid off the mortgage, covered closing costs and realtor fees of maybe $50,000, I would walk away with around $230,000 clear. More than enough to buy my own place, rebuild my savings, and start fresh. Can I sell it? I asked. I mean, my parents still live there. You own it outright, Angela said. Legally, you can sell whenever you want. But you would need to give them proper notice to vacate. 30 days in most cases. 90 days if you want to be generous. I thought about the agreement. They could live there rent-free for the rest of their lives, as long as they did not cause problems. But I had specified I would sell within 2 years. That deadline was approaching in about 21 months. I have time, I said. But thank you. It is good to know. After I hung up, I sat with this information. $230,000. That was my way out. In less than 2 years, I could liquidate everything, pay off all the debt my parents had created, and still have enough to start over. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. That evening, I went to the gym. I had started going regularly again, trying to rebuild not just my finances but my health, my routine, my life. I was on the treadmill when a woman on the machine next to me asked if I was using the bottle holder. No, go ahead, I said. She smiled. Thanks. I am Jenna, by the way. Ricky. We ended up talking between sets. She was a third-grade teacher, funny and kind. She had none of the edge Emily had, none of that calculating look I could now see in retrospect. Jenna was just genuine. Real. We exchanged numbers. She texted me that night. Had fun talking. Want to grab coffee sometime? I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to say no, to stay closed off, to never risk being hurt again. But another part, a newer, stronger part, knew that living in fear was just another kind of prison. I texted back. I would like that. We went for coffee that Saturday. Then dinner the next week. Then a movie. We took it slow. I told her about my family situation. About what had happened. About why I was cautious. She listened without judgment, shared her own stories about complicated family dynamics, and never once made me feel broken or damaged. By April, we were officially dating. By May, I had met her parents. By June, she had a toothbrush at my apartment. One evening in late July, we were making dinner together when my phone buzzed. Text from Mom, the first one in months. Are you coming for Christmas? It read. I showed it to Jenna. She read it and looked up at me. Are you? I thought about last year. About Dad's voicemail. Christmas is off. Expect a call from my lawyer. About how completely they had destroyed the trust between us. About 6 years of lies and manipulation. No, I said. I am spending it with your family. If that is okay. Jenna smiled. Mom will be thrilled. She loves you. I texted back. No, I am spending it with Jenna's family. Mom's response came quickly. Will you come by at all? I typed, maybe, if I have time. I did not owe them anything anymore. Not my time, not my money, not my forgiveness. They lived in my house on my terms. They paid me back at my schedule. They had no power over me anymore, and they knew it. Christmas Eve arrived, cold and clear. I woke up in my apartment next to Jenna, who was still asleep, her hair spread across the pillow. For a moment, I just lay there, appreciating the simple peace of it. A year ago, I would have been stressed about money for gifts, worried about my parents' expectations, dreading the holiday altogether. Now, I felt nothing but calm. Jenna and I spent the morning making breakfast together, then exchanged small gifts. She gave me a nice watch. I gave her a first edition of her favorite childhood book that I had tracked down online. We were heading to her parents' house in Connecticut that afternoon for Christmas dinner. But first, I had decided I would stop by the house. My house, where my parents lived. I had not been there since that day at the coffee shop 9 months ago. I had no idea what to expect. Part of me wanted to just skip it, to drive straight to Connecticut, and pretend my parents did not exist. But Jenna had encouraged me to go. Not for them, she had said. For you. So you can see where things stand. So, you do not spend the holiday wondering. I pulled up to the house around 11 in the morning. It looked the same. The lawn was maintained. The exterior paint was still fresh. Nothing had changed outwardly. But I knew everything had changed underneath. I rang the doorbell. It felt strange, ringing the bell at a house I owned. Mom answered. She looked older, more tired. She did not smile when she saw me. "Ricky," she said, "come in." I stepped inside. The living room was decorated for Christmas, but half-heartedly. A small tree in the corner, with a few ornaments. Some garland on the mantel. Nothing like the elaborate decorations Mom used to do. Dad was sitting in his chair, reading the newspaper. He looked up when I entered but did not stand. We stared at each other for a moment. "Merry Christmas," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Merry Christmas," he replied. The silence was thick, uncomfortable. Mom disappeared into the kitchen and came back with a card. She handed it to me. "For you." I opened it. A generic Christmas card with a note written inside in Mom's handwriting. "Wishing you peace and happiness." $200 in cash fell out. "Thank you," I said, tucking the money back in the card. Dad set down his newspaper. "Thank you for not pressing charges." His voice was stiff, formal, like he was reading from a script. "I did not do it for you," I said. "We know." More silence. I looked around the room, at the house I now owned, at the parents who had betrayed me living in it like ghosts. "How are you doing?" Mom asked, and she sounded sincere, actually concerned. "I am good," I said. "Really good. I have a girlfriend. Jenna. She is a teacher. We are spending Christmas with her family." "That is nice," Mom said quietly. Dad shifted in his chair. "The FBI came by last month. Asked more questions about Craig and Emily." "Did you tell them the truth?" I asked. He looked away. "Yes, all of it." "Good." There was nothing else to say. I had come. I had seen them. I had confirmed that they were living in the consequences of their actions, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no guilt. Just a vast, empty distance between who they were and who I was now. "I am going to go," I said. Mom walked me to the door. "Ricky," she said, stopping me. "I am sorry. I know that does not fix anything. But I need you to know, I am sorry." I looked at her. "Okay. Will you come back? Ever?" "I do not know." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I understand." I walked to my car without looking back. As I drove away, I saw them in the rear-view mirror, standing in the doorway of the house they no longer owned, watching me leave. Then I turned the corner, and they were gone. The drive to Connecticut was peaceful. Jenna and I listened to music, talked about her family, made plans for New Year's. Her parents' house was warm and chaotic in the best way. Her mom hugged me like I was already family. Her dad wanted to talk sports and grilled me about my job in that friendly, curious way good fathers do. Her younger brother challenged me to video games. Her sister asked Jenna a million questions about our relationship. It was everything a family should be, loud and messy and full of genuine affection. No hidden agendas, no manipulation, just people who cared about each other and showed it openly. During dinner, Jenna's mom raised her glass. To family, she said. The ones we are born with, and the ones we choose. Everyone clinked glasses. I felt Jenna squeeze my hand under the table. Later that evening, after presents and dessert and too much food, Jenna and I went for a walk in her neighborhood. The streets were quiet, houses glowing with Christmas lights. Our breath made clouds in the cold air. "You okay?" she asked. "I am," I said, and meant it. "I stopped by my parents' house this morning. How was it?" "Sad, but necessary. I needed to see that it is really over, that the relationship we had does not exist anymore. Are you okay with that?" I thought about it. Yes. I gave them everything for 6 years. My money, my time, my trust, and they used it all against me. They do not get any more of my life. Jenna nodded. "You know what I admire about you?" "What?" "You did not let them destroy you. You fought back smart, not just angry. You took control. You rebuilt. A lot of people would have just stayed trapped or burned everything down in rage. You found a middle path. I do not feel very admirable," I said. "I took their house." "No," she corrected. "You took back what was stolen from you. There is a difference. And you still let them live there. You could have put them on the street. You did not." She was right. I had drawn a boundary, but I had not been cruel. I had protected myself without destroying them, even though they had tried to destroy me. We walked in comfortable silence for a while. Then I said, "You know what I learned from all this?" "Tell me." "Family is not about blood. It is about respect. Real love does not require you to destroy yourself. And when someone shows you who they are, you have to believe them. Even if they are your parents." Jenna stopped walking and turned to face me. "That is really wise. It cost me over $200,000 in 6 years of my life to learn it." She laughed, then kissed me. "Worth it? Getting to this point? Yeah. Actually, yeah. If I had not gone through all that, I would not be here with you right now. I would still be trapped, still trying to save people who did not want to be saved." We walked back to her parents' house hand in hand. Inside, I could hear laughter, music, the sounds of a real family enjoying the holiday together. I belonged here now, not by birth but by choice, and that made it even more meaningful. The next few months passed quickly. I kept making the mortgage payments on time. My credit score continued to climb, now at 708. The promissory note payments kept coming from my parents, regular as clockwork. The FBI investigation concluded with Craig sentenced to 12 years and Emily to 7 years. Restitution was set at 38 cents on the dollar, which meant I would eventually recover about $51,000 of the stolen money. In March, I got an unexpected call. It was a contractor I had hired months before to finish the half-completed flip property that my dad had abandoned. The contractor's name was Doug. "Ricky," Doug said. "The property is done." Came in under budget, too. Total cost was $28,000. "It looks great." I drove out to see it that weekend. Doug was right. The house was beautiful. Fresh paint, new fixtures, updated kitchen and bathrooms. It was move-in ready. I listed it for sale at $295,000. The market was hot. I had 3 offers within a week. It sold for $297,000. After paying off the remaining balance on the business credit line, realtor fees, and closing costs, I netted $41,000. $41,000. The first real profit I had seen in 6 years. I put it all into a savings account. Then I sat in my car in the bank parking lot and cried. Not from sadness, from relief. From the realization that I had survived. That I was going to be okay. That I had taken the worst thing that had ever happened to me and turned it into something manageable, then profitable, then finally into a victory. By June, I was ready to sell the main house, the one my parents lived in. I had given them notice in April, 90 days to find a new place. They had not fought it. They had signed the agreement after all. They knew the terms. Within 2 years I could sell, and 2 years was up. The house appraised at $690,000. I listed it at $699,000. It sold in 2 weeks for $705,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage balance of $372,000, covering closing costs, realtor fees, and various expenses, I walked away with $287,000. $287,000. Clear, mine. I paid off every remaining debt I had. Credit cards, car loan, everything. Then, I put a down payment on a small house in a quiet neighborhood 45 minutes away from where my parents lived. Far enough that we would not run into each other. Close enough that I could still get to work easily. Jenna moved in with me 3 months later. We adopted a dog, a goofy golden retriever we named Charlie. I started going to therapy to work through everything that had happened. I reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with during the years I was drowning financially. My parents moved into a small apartment across town. I did not help them move. I did not visit their new place. The promissory note payments continued. We had no other contact. Stephanie sent me a long email in August, apologizing for everything, asking if we could rebuild our relationship. I read it twice, then deleted it without responding. Maybe someday I would be ready to hear from her, but not yet. The wound was still too fresh. On Christmas Eve, 1 full year after that first Christmas apart, I was wrapping presents in the living room when Jenna came in with her laptop. "Look at this," she said. It was an email from my parents. Not to me directly, but forwarded through Angela, the mortgage broker, who had forwarded it to me. They wanted me to know they had paid off the promissory note early. All $80,000. They included a bank statement showing the full payment had been made. There was a note attached, short and simple. Paid in full. We are sorry for everything. We hope someday you can forgive us. Merry Christmas. I stared at the email for a long time. How do you feel? Jenna asked. I do not know, I said honestly. Relieved, I guess. It is done. They paid me back. That chapter is closed. Are you going to respond? I thought about it. Maybe, I said. Not today, but maybe someday. We finished wrapping presents. Later, friends came over for dinner. A tradition we had started. The house was full of laughter, good food, people who genuinely cared about each other. It was everything I had wanted and never had during those 6 years of being used and manipulated. As I looked around at my life, at the home I owned, at the woman I loved, at the friends who had my back, I realized something important. I had won. Not just financially, though that was significant, but emotionally, spiritually, in every way that mattered. I had set boundaries. I had protected myself. I had fought back without losing my humanity. I had rebuilt my life on my own terms. Last Christmas, my father had canceled Christmas and threatened me with lawyers. This Christmas, I was surrounded by people who actually cared about me. And you know what? That was the best gift I had ever received. I want to leave you with this. Have you ever had to set a hard boundary with family? How did you find the strength to do it? Leave a comment below. Your story might help someone else who is going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories. And if you have not already, please subscribe to the channel. I share stories like this because I believe we all need to hear that we are not alone in our struggles, that it is okay to protect ourselves, that choosing yourself over toxic family is not selfish, it is survival. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is struggling with family boundaries, someone who feels guilty for protecting themselves, someone who needs to know that it is possible to escape and rebuild. Thank you for listening. I hope your holidays are filled with people who truly love you, not people who use you. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it. Merry Christmas.